When I left religion and Christian fundamentalist churches, I realized that there was a list where someone listed 100 of the most deadliest, atrocious things to exist in world history. Number 11 out of 100 was religion. It didn't specify which religion. It didn't say which Christian denomination. It just said that out of 100 things that were considered the most atrocious and awful things that existed in world history, religion was number 11. It really does put things in perspective. On average, 7% of all wars are started or happen due to a religious or ideology disagreement. And we've talked about this in many videos, how religion is a machine that moves all forms of politics and progress either forward or backwards. And you can disagree that religion is a good force. History proves that religion is not a consistent, positive reaction to how we live our lives. I'm not saying it can never be a positive experience, because that would be a lie. There is some positive things that come out of religion and all forms of beliefs, whether it's an organized religion or a philosophy. And religion has not been a consistent force for good. I would say if it wanted to hit the mark, it hasn't come close. If there was a target for you to use an arrow, which is religion, to decide if something is good or not, that arrow has not hit the target ever. Not consistently. And when it came down to it, all religion has to get involved in politics and people's personal lives. It's the identity of the person. It's what they dress, where they go, what they consider entertainment, what they consider as good or bad. Religion affects every aspect of someone's life, whether you're 5 years old or 50. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you or your family, if you call yourself religious or spiritual, those beliefs control everything about you. Now, it may be extremely controlled or it may be very lax, but it's still a type of control. And I became an atheist, so I don't have to live under the burden of right, wrong, heaven and hell, belief or non-believer. It's so thrilling to live in a world where you're not seen as the enemy and you're not seen as a positive force or a negative force. People just have different beliefs, which is wonderful. As long as they don't destroy the world we have or make certain groups that they always seem to target, give them horrible lives. I mean, anything positive, I don't have a problem with. Religion is just a vehicle. Personal belief and agenda is the driver. Religion is not necessarily a deadly thing. Because it's number 11, rather, extremist interpretations, fundamentalism, and the use of religion as the pretext for power struggles fuels violence, conflict, persecution, deaths, and major causes of wars. War would not occur as often if it wasn't centered, driven, or expected of religious people. It can be intertwined with many divides having to do with religion, making religion significant or a justification rather than the direct cause. Persecution in places like India or by Islamic extremists may be perpetrated by extreme versions of religion. So why is religion one of the most deadly things in the world? Religious extremism, sectarian violence, political power and identity, persecution, historical conflicts, war. Religious conflicts are not always the same thing as secular conflicts. They may or may not be strictly religious. They may be driven by political, economic, ethnic issues, or religion. Religion is not the only drive for war and political extremism. It is one of the top three, though. Religion is not the killer. It's the person who believes and goes through religion with extremist ideology. Religious wars dominated the Dark Ages and the medieval periods of history. It directly affected the Renaissance and colonial eras. Why do you think America, the first people to America, not necessarily the founders, but why were the Pilgrims and Jamestown and many other socio and religious communities, especially in the eastern part of America, why were they all under some religious umbrella? And you can disagree, but as an amput historian, I cannot minimize or negate the influences that religion has had on the world. As I said, 7% of all wars were created, funded, or started because of religious issues or differences in opinion. It is not surprising to me. It really is not. But what can we do to minimize these effects? One, we can embrace the things that religion hates, or at the very least does not support. We can embrace groups of people, ethnicities, belief systems that religion rejects, such as the LGBTQIA community. Religion consistently rejects, villainizes, and demonizes, or even worse, erases their existence, even though 18 to 22% of everyone in the world either privately or openly or perhaps denies that they are not heterosexual. Or they might even embrace it. Who knows? 18 to 22% of the people on this planet are not heterosexual. And within the heterosexual community, there are a lot of people that don't live within the heterosexual expectations of gender roles and belief systems. We need to embrace, Black Lives Matter. We need to take care of every ethnicity that has been consistently targeted by conservative Republicans, conservative Christians, really any traditional group. And it's not just orientation or sexuality that we should embrace. Yeah, we should embrace trans people and African Americans, but we should embrace all ethnicities, every type of walk. As long as it does not harm people, embrace different ways of life. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to support it. But as long as the beliefs do no harm, acknowledge it exists. That's what being an ally is. You don't have to be gay to be an ally. So we need to embrace all good things and good people that the church consistently rejects. 2, we need to be consistently politically active. Even though I'm not a member of the queer community, it's my duty as an ally and a decent human being to vote and protect the rights of maybe people who can't vote, who are afraid, lot of people don't feel safe protesting or having any signs in their house that symbolize how they believe. Sometimes voting, protesting, and being out in the world is just as important as embracing certain groups. Embracing groups isn't enough. You have to consistently stand up for them when they do as well as when they don't. 3, we need to reject ideologies, belief systems, and any group or activity that seeks to undermine the first 2 points. Anything that makes you not want to embrace all groups, anything that makes you not want to protest and protect people's rights, we need to reject those groups. It's all about bigotry. It's not about keeping it safe for kids. It's about controlling what kids have access to. And as you see, if kids don't have the access they need, non-straight kids are 93% more likely to act on depressive feelings and thoughts when they don't have a adult figure in their life caring enough about them to have a simple conversation. And yeah, 93% of kids who have suicidal and depressive thoughts would not act on it or even plan to act on it if some adult figure, parent, guardian, or mentor talked with them about it. It's very interesting. We need to reject any person or institution that tries to erase any good members of our society. This is why I'm the only one out of 17 people in my family who identifies as liberal and somewhat democratic. I don't like putting myself into a political party because if at any time the Democrat candidate does not live up to my expectations, I will completely disregard voting blue. If there's a better candidate, I'll find that person. And if I don't vote Democrat, it's because the Democrat isn't the best choice. But I will never vote Republican, ever. I never want to support a group that consistently denies that 20% of the population in the world is a decent group of people. So no, I won't do that. I will not vote conservative ever. Personally, I think it would be better to have no leader at all than to have someone like Donald Trump. Oh, goodness. Woo! And religions don't always do bad things. A broken clock is right twice a day. But religion is consistently one of the biggest reasons why groups hate gay people, trans people, black people, Latino people, undocumented immigrants. And I'm not saying that liberals get everything right either, because there are some crazy liberals out there. And by crazy, I mean unhinged. Not everyone who's in a good group is a good person. We need to no longer look at religion as though it's a sacred thing. It may or may not be a good thing. And when I'm at work, I don't care how people believe because I'm a professional person. Now, if people start talking about how good certain groups are that I abhor because I have consistent morality, I will make an excuse and leave the room. I don't want to be in a room where people are talking about people that are destroying our country. And by destroying our country, I mean fascist. If you stay in a room where people like that are doing that, you are giving them the idea that you agree or will stand that kind of thing. And I won't do that. So, religion may or may not be a good thing. Religion has been a consistent tool for some of the worst acts in human history. And no matter how much good they will ever do, will never undo the awful things that they've done. And I honestly believe that the bad they do outweighs the good. I don't have to read the newspaper to know that. I just go to therapy and listen to people talk about the things they've escaped in churches. Oh boy, it is an eye-opener. If I could write a book on all the things I've learned in therapy, nightmare worthy. Definitely nightmare worthy. I don't want to be a part of a system that sees 51% of people on this planet as inferior. We're talking about women. I don't want to be a part of any religion or ideology that treats non-white people as a threat. I don't care if someone's a legal citizen or an undocumented immigrant. Yes, everyone should follow the law, but we don't live in a world where our country makes it easy to become a U.S. citizen. We don't live in a country that makes anyone want to go through the hoops. If we lived in a perfect society, then yeah, everyone should become a licensed, or what we call a citizen. But that's not the world we live in. There are people that came over here when they were kids, and it's not up to them. And I live in the real world. I know that undocumented immigrants are not illegal. Unless you've been previously deported, it's not a crime. It's a immigration violation. That's very different from a crime. And yet conservative people don't care to know the difference. Immigrants are not a threat. They don't even commit as much crime as U.S. citizens do. Being a U.S. citizen means you're more likely to commit a crime than if you're an undocumented person. That's an eye-opener. We need to embrace all groups of people that bring good things to our society. We also need to stop voting for idiots and people who like to polarize people against religion and different groups of people. We need to stop electing sex offenders as president of the United States, or just anywhere in general. Maybe by the time I die, we'll actually start consistently electing people that aren't white. Why there's only one non-white president of the United States isn't really hard to figure out. You can be the worst human being imaginable, and as long as you're white, you can become president. That says something about our culture. I honestly believe we're one of the most misogynistic countries in America. And I believe religion may not have started misogyny, but it has made very little effort to consistently purge it from our midst. You cannot belong to a Baptist, conservative church without them having certain kinds of ideologies. And if I have to go through life being white and straight, I'm going to be the best stereotype of being white. I'm not going to support, fund, or agree with anything that makes any other nationality, orientation, gender, or group of people uncomfortable. And I do agree. Religion has consistently been one of the worst things on the planet. It's not the worst. I think that's politics. It's number 11 out of 100. And the goal is not even to be on that list. But if you look up the American Hate Group Association list, you will find that there are many religious churches and groups on that list. There's a reason. There is no hate like Christian love.